The Whistling Woman of Hollow Road. In the mountain above a forgotten town, there was a road nobody used after dark. Maps still showed it. Street signs still pointed toward it, but the locals avoided so completely that weeds grew through the cracked asphalt. The road had a name once. Now people simply call it Hollow Road. And they all knew the same rule. If you hear a whistle behind you, do not turn around. Most visitors laughed when they heard the warning, until they learned where it came from. The legend began over 80 years ago. According to town records, a young woman named Clara disappeared while walking home one winter evening. A storm had covered the mountains with fog so thick that people could barely see a few feet ahead. Search parties looked for days. They found nothing, no footprints, no body, no clues. Only one strange detail. Several volunteers claimed they heard a woman whistling somewhere in the fog. A slow, haunting tone, always nearby, but impossibly to locate. After a week, the search ended. Clara was declared dead, yet the whistling never stopped. Travelers occasionally reported hearing it along Hollow Road. At first, people assumed someone was playing a prank. Then, the disappearances began. One person every few years, always at night, always alone, always after hearing the whistle. By the time the story reached modern times, it had become little more than local folklore, a creepy tale told around campfires, which was exactly why Daniel didn't believe it. He was 23 years old, a photographer who spent weekends exploring abandoned places and documenting forgotten landmarks. When he heard about Hollow Road, he became fascinated. Not because he believed the legend, because he didn't. This is exactly the kind of story people invent to scare tourists, he told his friend Marcos. Marcos wasn't convinced. My grandfather lived here, he said. He swore the whistling woman was real. Daniel laughed. And your grandfather also thought a black cat could curse your house? Maybe, but he never drove the road after sunset. Daniel smiled. Then I'll do it for both of us. The following Saturday evening, Daniel packed his camera equipment and drove into the mountains. The sky darkened quickly. By the time he reached Hollow Road, the sun had disappeared behind the trees. Fog drifted across the pavement. The atmosphere was perfect for photographs. Daniel spent an hour taking pictures. Twisted paints, abandoned guardrails, broken roads hung half shoveled by vegetation. Everything looked eerie. Everything looked ordinary. Finally, he packed up his gear and started back toward his car. That was when he heard it, a whistle. Soft, faint, floating through the fog. Daniel stopped. The sound came again. A simple melody. 3 racing notes. Then silence. He smiled. Someone was out there. Probably another photographer, or a local trying to scare visitors. The whistle sounded a third time, closer. Daniel turned his flashlight toward the trees. Nothing, only fog. His mind faded slightly. The sound had seemed much nearer than before. Then he remembered the legend. If you hear a whistle behind you, do not turn around. He laughed aloud. The whistle came again, directly behind him. Daniel spun around. Nothing. No person, no movement, no footprints, just fog. An uncomfortable feeling settled into his stomach. The kind of feeling people get when they suddenly realize they are completely alone. He started walking faster. The whistle followed, always behind him, never ahead, never beside him, never. Only behind. 3 notes. Pause. 3 notes. Pause. The distance never changed. It remained just close enough to feel wrong. Then Daniel reached his car and climbed inside. The moment he locked the doors, the whistling stopped. Relieved, he started the engine. Then his headlights illuminated something standing 50 feet ahead. A woman. She stood in the center of the road, perfectly still. Long dark hair covered her face. A pale dress hung from her thin frame. Daniel's pulse quickened. At last, a prankster. Someone playing the role. He grabbed his camera. The woman didn't move. Daniel stepped from the car. "Excuse me." No response. The woman remained motionless. The fog drifted around her. Daniel raised the camera and zoomed in. His finger froze. The woman's feet weren't touching the ground. She overhead inches above the asphalt. Daniel lowered the camera. His mouth went dry. The woman slowly tilted her head upward. Hair slid away from her face. Her eyes were completely black, not dark, not shadowed, black, as though someone had covered empty holes into her skull. Then she smiled. Her mouth stretched impossibly wide, far wider than any human mouth should. And she began to whistle. The same 3 notes, but now they sounded wrong, broken, wet, like air passing through a throat filled with water. Daniel ran. He drove into the car and slammed the door. The woman remained where she stood, still smiling, still whistling. The engine roared to life. Daniel accelerated. The woman vanished into the fog behind him. For several minutes he drove without looking back. Eventually he convinced himself he had imagined it. The darkness, the fog, the stories. His mind had played tricks on him. That explanation lasted until he glanced into the rear view mirror. The woman sat in the back seat, smiling. Her black eyes stared directly into his. Daniel screamed. The car swerved. Tires left the pavement. Metal crashed against trees. Glass exploded. Everything went black. 3 days later, rescuers found the car was destroyed, but Daniel was nowhere in sight. They searched the surrounding forest. Nothing, no body, no footprints, no sign he had ever left the vehicle. Only his camera remained. Police reviewed the memory card. Most photographs showed normal scenery. Trees, road signs, fog. Then they reached the final image, a photograph taken from inside the car. It showed Daniel's reflection in the rear view mirror. And behind him sat a pale woman with black eyes and smile, impossibly white. Authorities dismissed the image as a hoax, digital manipulation, a prank. The case eventually went cold. Years passed. People forgot about Daniel, forgot about Clara, forgot about the disappearances. But every now and then, drivers still reporting hearing a whistle while traveling near Hollow Road. 3 racing notes, soft, faint, always behind them. Most continued driving. Some pull over to investigate. And according to the local legend, those are the people who never return. Because the whistling woman doesn't chase her victims. She doesn't attack them. She simply waits for one mistake, one glance, one turn of the head, one moment of curiosity. And once you've looked at her, she follows you home.